Forget all that. Get a job, get in the game, get into the economy, start to play the game. There'll be plenty of time for trips later after you've paid back your student debt.
This clip of Kevin O'Leary really irks me the wrong way, and I will get into that in 1 second, but I just want to say that I feel like in the current state of the world today, especially in America and with the American college system and how expensive it is so costly to course correct at this point in your life. Like, I feel like if you go to college, you take on a 4-year degree, you are going to be taking out so much student loans. And to explain a little bit about me, I strongly regret I didn't take a gap year, and I regret it because now whenever I was going into college, it was $20,000, and I didn't even really know how much I would be spending on college until like maybe a month or two ahead of time because of how screwed up the FAFSA system was before I went into college. And so that kind of led me to course correct my major and like kind of threw off the whole balance of things when I was in college. And that only threw me off probably like a semester of school. But I did have to end up switching majors, and like I said, that is such a costly thing to do. And I think it is so pushed on young people to go to college, and it just makes me mad. I get like fired up talking about this because I went to a private Catholic school where 90%, or not 90, 97% of the students went to college, and I went to my guidance counselor and I said that I wanted to take a gap year, and I was just very encouraged not to do that. And I think it was because the rate of students that went to college in my school was so high, and it would make the school look bad if I brought that rating down and make the guidance counselor look bad. So I just think so many people kind of push you to go to college, and I want to be that pushback to say you don't need to do this, that there are other options out there instead of going straight into college. And so what I want to say is, so after I went to college, my student loans are now at 9%. And so I think that's just such a regret of mine, is going straight into college and not getting my finances together before college, so I don't have to take out that 9% a year for the next 4 years, and then probably even another year if I decide now to take a gap year after college, because it is going to be so much more expensive just with interest rates on student loans. And even if I'm paying the minimum payment, then the amount I'm paying is still growing over time. So it is so costly just to take a gap year after college. And that was my mindset going into college. I was like, well, you know what? I'll go into college and I will just take a gap year after. And now it is just so costly for me to do that, and I'll have to take out so much student loans. So I just want to show you guys that if you want to take a gap year, I don't even think it's a stupid financial decision. And then secondly, I want to say then you also have the opportunity to spend that time after high school trying to get scholarships together, and you'll have that like more time than all your peers who are in school and trying to do scholarships than if you were out of school and trying to do scholarships. So you could even be saving money that way. You could be working for a portion of your gap year and saving up money, and you don't even have to do that for the full gap year. And then secondly, I want to say the second big reason I think that you should take a gap year, or at least a lot of you should take a gap year, is from this book, The Defining Decade, which talks about identity capital. And I read this book straight out of high school, and I really liked it, and I thought it made some really good points. But I'm going to read you guys a quote. So, identity capital is our collection of personal assets. It is our repertoire of individual resources that we assume over time. These are our investments that we make in ourselves. So, I think the author of this book makes such a good point, which is a gap year is meant to kind of show us who we are and what we want to do. I think if you don't know what you want to do with your life, then you should take a gap year. Don't choose a major based off of just guessing. Go and actually shadow people, intern. Take that time to figure out what you actually want to do. There are so many volunteer opportunities. I know AmeriCorps was one of the things I thought about doing, and another one was also the Peace Corps I wanted to do. There are so many cool opportunities. You could become a camp counselor, depending on whatever major you want to do. Try and choose a job, an internship, a shadowing opportunity to figure out what you actually want to do before you go tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And then I also want to say that I know a lot of people talk about traveling in their gap year, but I think this is such an amazing opportunity because one of the things that I learned from traveling last summer was that I think when you travel when you're older, it's just there's so many different, like, less opportunities to do it. I think when you travel when you're young, then you have youth hostels, which are cheaper, student discounts, discounts for people 18 to 25. There are a lot of those. And not only that, but then there's also more young people. I think it's just more fun in general. I remember I was staying at this youth hostel and everybody at the hostel was like ages, I think like 18 to like 21. And I remember there was this 25-year-old dude there and he was dancing with 2 beers and I was like, wow, this kind of feels like a weird energy, like I felt like he was trying to relive his party days a little bit, and he was talking to me about like all the girls that he slept with in college, and I was like, oh, you're 25, like why are you talking about this? So I think you don't get the same opportunities to travel when you're older, and you should travel now because this is the most opportunities you'll get to travel and have like all these different cool fun of experiences that I don't think you'll have if you travel when you're a lot older. And then I also would say that you could learn a skill during your gap year. You have opportunities to take risks that you wouldn't have if you go straight into college. So you could learn a new language, learn to code, learn to do some kind of program, anything, like learn to get a certification or anything. There's so many online. I know Google has like data analytics that will help you probably get a job in the future. So you could do stuff, get these experiences that will help you kind of get jobs in the future. And I know you could even get credits, so maybe you could take credits at your local community college, take credits online. I know Arizona State University, I know there's an opportunity where they partnered with Crash Course that you could get college courses to take online that will save you money in college by transferring in. So it also saves you money, some of these things, in going into college. And so those are just some of the reasons. I'm so sweaty. I'm literally sitting in a car right now. That I think you should take a gap year. And so I just want to say that I support you, and I do not think it is a stupid decision to take a gap year. I want to emphasize that you should do it intentionally, and I highly recommend reading the book The Defining Decade, because I think that is really what helped me influence this video that I'm making right now. But I think doing it intentionally and actually figuring out what you want to do and figuring out your finances in order is so important. And also, I want to say that there are a lot of people when I was traveling that were on their 4th, 5th gap year, and I think you should be very intentional and kind of set out a timeline that this is when I'm going to figure out what I want to do, and intentional with everything that you are doing during your gap year so you can figure that out. So I think if you're intentional with your gap year, then I think Kevin O'Leary is wrong. Like, you're going to be missing out on so many opportunities. That's the point of a gap year, is to figure out what you want to do. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you agree with anything. If you have anything that you think I missed, please comment down below, and bye guys.